All right, what is up, YouTube? So today I'm going to be showcasing how to play the Phantom Knight deck. I know I had a few comments talking about, hey, how do you play this deck? This deck is kind of complicated, and I know this deck is kind of very convoluted, but I will try to explain everything as best as I can. So let's get into this replay. This is just one replay that I had with the Phantom Knight deck against the Fluffle archetype, this is just showcasing how to play the deck. If you want to know how to play this deck optimally against like other different meta decks, there's many different videos out there, but I'll try to get some better replays for that for a future video. So let's just talk about what Phantom Knights are and what they do. So a lot of what the Phantom Knights cards do is they banish themselves from the graveyard to activate the effect. So one of the important cards in the deck is the Torn Scales, the card that I'm hovering over. This card is very good. You can discard one card, send one Phantom Knight card from your deck to your graveyard, except the Phantom Knights of Torn Scales. So a lot of your Phantom Knight cards are going to be able to banish themselves from the graveyard to like get effects, like send a card to the graveyard, add a card, add a trap, add anything. So Phantom Knights of Torn Scales is very good to set up those type of cards. While this card is in your graveyard and you banish another Phantom Knights card, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So this is very good for your Phantom Knight cards. So moving on to like the combo, what this deck does is that it special summons out a lot of level 3s. So what you're going to be centering your deck around is a lot of these XYZs, and one of the most important cards, which is going to be your Cherubini. This is going to be a very good card. I'll go to that in a bit, but let's play the replay. So we're going to start off with the Torn Scales. Torn Scale is going to use its effect to discard the trap card to send one of the Phantom Knight cards. I'll go over it right now. This is another card, the Phantom Knight of Ancient Cloak. This is really good. So when this card is in attack position, you can target one dark monster on the field, change this card to a defense, and if you do, that monster gains 800 attack and defense until the end of your opponent's turn. So what that means is you can basically give your monster attack for more damage for OTKs. But this is not the important effect. This is not really that big. This is only good for like OTKs. This is rarely going to come up. Do not focus on this effect. What you do want to focus on is the graveyard effect. So you can banish this card from the graveyard, add the Phantom Knight card from your deck to your hand, except itself. And you can only use this effect once per turn. That's a lot of the cards. But what you want to realize is that it says the Phantom Knight cards. A lot of the Phantom Knight trap cards say that they're Phantom Knights and not the Phantom Knight. So you want to keep that in mind. You cannot add Fog Blade with the effect of Ancient Cloak. You do want to realize that. So this is really good for getting a lot of your monsters and a lot of your trap cards from your deck to your hand. This is very good. This is one of your best cards as well. Torn Scales is your best card from your main deck. This is your second best. So moving on to the combo, I'm going to use the effect of the Ancient Cloak, and Ancient Cloak is going to add the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots. This card is very good. It's one of your most important cards. It's not necessarily the best one, but this is the most important one. Because if you control the Phantom Knights card or monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So as you can see on my field, I have the Phantom Knights monster in the field, which is Torn Scales. You can only special summon Silent Boots once per turn this way. And then when this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add one Phantom Knights spell and trap card from your deck to your hand. So notice how this says Phantom Knights in quotes and not the Phantom Knights. You can add any Phantom Knight card from your deck to your hand, which is very good. This is different from your Ancient Cloak. So you're going to be using this to mainly get your Fog Blade. Fog Blade is one of your best traps in the deck. So let's go on. So we're going to special summon the Silent Boots, and we're going to go into Cherubini. Cherubini is one of your best Link 2 monsters. This is your go-to combo. Once you get 2 level 3s on the board, this is basically your best card. So it says monsters this card points to cannot be destroyed by card effects. That's a very important effect. All of its effects are very, very important. So let's go to the, if this card would be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can send one other card you control to the graveyard instead. So this is very, very good for if they try to destroy your card while you're trying to resolve its last effect. So this is very, very powerful. So a lot of what you can do with the Cherubini card is that you can set a card on your field before you go into it. So that when you do summon it and they try to destroy it, you can send the card that you set or another card on your field to the graveyard to protect it. So this is very, very strong. Another effect, the best effect about this card, is that you can send one level 3 monster from your deck to your graveyard. Remember that all of the Phantom Knight cards, they have effects in the graveyard, so this is very, very important. Then target one Burning Abyss monster on the field, which is going to be your Cherubini most of the time. It gains attack and defense equal to the attack and defense of the monster sent to the graveyard until the end of the turn, and then you can only use all of the effects once per turn. So Cherubini is very, very good. This is your start play. This is what you want to go to basically to send any of the level 3 monsters that you need into the graveyard. So I'm going to use the effect of the Cherubini to send the what is it called, the Phantom Knights of Ragged Gloves. I just wanted to see the full name. So this is a very important card as well. This is one of the weaker ones, but do not underestimate this card. This card is very, very good. Okay, so it says a dark XYZ monster that is summoned using this card as material gains this effect. So if the card is XYZ summoned, so if you use this card as XYZ material, you can have that monster gain 1000 attack, which is very, very good. But the second effect is most important. You can banish this card from your graveyard, send one Phantom Knights card from your deck to your graveyard. So as I said before, a lot of these Phantom Knight cards have effects in the graveyard. You can also send your trap cards with this card. So a lot of the trap card effects, they're going to have effects to special summon your Phantom Knight cards from your graveyard. I'll get into that in a bit. But this card is very, very good, and then you can only use those effects once per turn. So that's very good. A lot of the time, you're going to use the Cherubini effect to send the graph from the deck to the graveyard. And what this card does is that when it's sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Burning Abyss monster from your deck. And then the Seer monster, Seer Malabench of the Burning Abyss, it's not in this replay, but I'll kind of explain it to you. It's basically the same thing as this card. If you control no spell and trap cards, you can special summon that card from your hand. And then when the Seer Malabench of the Burning Abyss is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Burning Abyss monster from your graveyard. So most of the time, you're going to use Graph to special summon the Seer under where the arrow of the Cherubini monster is pointing to. So Seer is going to special summon to any of the arrows that the Cherubini is pointing to, and then you're going to link off the Seer and the Cherubini for a link monster, and then you're going to use the effect of Seer to special summon back the Cherubini onto your field. So in this replay, I don't showcase it, but hopefully you understand that. So we're going to go into we're going to special summon the graph because I have the graph in my hand. I can't send it from the deck to the graveyard with the effect of Cherubini. I'm going to go into the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche. This is your best link monster. This is the best card in your deck. You want to always make this card turn 1. If you cannot make the Cherubini, you could definitely go into this card. This card is very, very powerful. It takes 2 dark monsters. During your main phase, you can send one The Phantom Knights monster from your deck to your graveyard, then set one Phantom Knights spell or trap card directly from your deck to your spell and trap card zone. So you can set any spell, any trap from your deck to your field. Mostly is going to be Fog Blade, and then its second effect is very, very good because If a dark XYZ monsters, so it could be any monsters, is special summoned to a zones this card points to while this monster is face up on the field, except during the damage step, you can target one card on the field and destroy it. So that is very, very good for multiple reasons. For one, the first effect is very good for getting your Phantom Knight cards to the graveyard, as a lot of your Phantom Knights, as I said before, again and again and again, a lot of your Phantom Knight cards have effects in the graveyard. And then your Phantom Knight spell and trap cards are very good. Just mainly your trap cards, because they have different effects that I'll get to in a bit. So the second effect is very, very important, because you can pop any card on their field when you special summon a dark XYZ monster to the Link era. So this is a very, very strong card. It's your best card in your deck, or in your extra deck, I should say. So let's move on to the second step, which is to send the Phantom Knight's Ancient Cloak to the graveyard to set the Fog Blade. Fog Blade is very, very good. Let me pause it real quick. It says activate this card by targeting one effect monster on the field. Negate that face-up monster effect. That face-up monster cannot attack. Also, monsters cannot target that face-up monster for attacks. So that's really good for protecting your monsters, also negating your opponent's effects. So a really, really strong play with this deck is to, if your opponent has a monster basically or they have a lot of monsters on the field, you can basically activate Fog Blade on your own monsters so they cannot attack that monster. But for the most part, what you're going to be using with this card is you're just going to negate your opponent's monsters with this effect. That is your main goal with this card. The second effect, or what all of the trap cards in this deck will do, is that you can banish the trap cards from your graveyard to target one Phantom Knight's monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. That is all of the trap cards in this deck, which is pretty strong. So what I did here is I sent the Ancient Cloak. I'll go over that in a bit. So as you see, I already have a Ancient Cloak that is banished, but I wanted to send an extra one because for the next turn I can use the effect to add another card from my deck to the hand. So this is very, very good. And you see that I have a lot of cards in the graveyard. I have the Ragged Gloves, I have the Torn Scales, I have the Silent Boots, all in my graveyard. You're going to be using all of the effects this turn. So that is very, very important. So let's go on. So I used the effect of the Trap card to special summon one of my Phantom Knight monsters from my graveyard. Is most likely going to be a level 3. And I summoned the Ancient Cloak. And then the effect of the Torn Scales is going to activate in the graveyard to special summon itself, but banish it when it leaves the field. So I'm going to go into an XYZ, which is Levier the Sea Dragon. Levier the Sea Dragon, it takes 2 level 3 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, then target one banished level 4 or lower monster. Special summon that target to your field. So as all of your Phantom Knight monsters can be banished to use their effects, you can use the Levier to special summon back those level 3 monsters onto your field to make more Link material and XYZ material. So I'm going to use the effect to special summon back my Ancient Cloak, and then it's going to special summon in an attack position, because that's very important. Because as I said before, if this card is in attack position, you can target a dark monster on your field, change it to the defense, and then have that monster gain 800 attack and defense until the end of your opponent's turn. So that is very, very strong. So I'm going to change that to defense. I'm going to use the effect of the Ragged Gloves to send a Phantom Knight's trap card to the graveyard, which is the Phantom Knight's Fog Blade. I'm going to use the effect to special summon back the Torn Scales from my graveyard onto the field, and then I'm going to XYZ into Breaksword. Breaksword is one of your best cards for getting rid of your opponent's monsters off the field. So in combination with the Rusty Bardiche, if I was to summon it to an arrow that Rusty Bardiche points to, I can pop a card on the field, or like a card on your opponent's field. So with the Phantom Knights of Breaksword, this card it takes 2 level 3 monsters like a lot of your XYZ monsters do. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, then target one monster or one card you control and one card your opponent controls, destroy them. So basically you can target any card on your field and one card on your opponent's side of the field by detaching a material and destroying both of them. If this XYZ summon card is destroyed, you can target two the Phantom Knight monsters with the same level in your graveyard, special summon them, and increase their levels by 1. So you can make rank 4 monsters in this deck as well if you really wanted to, but for the most part, you're going to be link summoning with these cards. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except dark monsters. Keep that in mind because you do have non-dark monsters in your extra deck. Not in your main deck. There's some, you know, cards in your main deck that are also not dark, so you want to keep that in mind as well. So this card is very, very good for popping cards basically, and when it's destroyed, when it's XYZ summoned, you can target up to any of your Phantom Knight monsters in your graveyard with the same level and then special summon it. So it's very, very good. It's very, very powerful card. You're going to be going into this card a lot, especially turn 1. So the next play is to go into your best monster in your deck. This is the go-to boss monster, the Utopic Future. Utopic Future is not that important. I wouldn't go over this too much. It basically takes two XYZ monsters with the same rank, which is the Phantom Knights of Breaksword and the Levier. They're both rank 3. The original rank is level 1, cannot be destroyed by battle, and neither player takes battle damage from the attacks involved in this card. At the end of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can take control of that opponent's monster until the end of the battle phase. If this face-up card on the field would be destroyed by a card effect, you could detach one material from this card instead. So this card is not really important. Do not take this. Do not really read this card. It's not really that important. It will come up where you need this card in some situations, but for the most part, you're going to be using this card to go into the Utopic Future. This card is insane. It is very, very good. It takes 3 XYZ monsters with the same rank, but you can use the Utopic Future cards, which is the number F0 Utopic Future, as an XYZ material to summon this card. And then the second effect is cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. So this card can protect itself from any card that destroys, or it can protect itself from attack. So this is very, very strong. And then the most important effect is that once per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, so anytime your opponent would activate a monster effect, you can detach one material from this card, negate the activation, then if that monster is on the field, gain control of it. So you can not only negate your opponent's monster effects, but if that card is on the field, you can take control of that monster permanently. It's basically a brain control or a change of heart, if you think of it about it. It also negates any monster effect. That's very, very powerful. So this is one of your best cards in your deck. It basically takes 2 of your level or rank 3 monsters to make this card, because you can go up to your Utopic Future, and then you can make the Utopic Draco Future. So this is one of your best cards in the deck, which is very, very solid. And this is about the end of your combo, but what you're going to do first is you're going to activate the effect of your Silent Boots in the graveyard to get your Fog Blade from your deck to your deck to your hand. And this basically, again, this negates a monster on the field. Also protects your monsters from being attacked if you do need that. So the other card I wanted to talk about is the Phantom Knight's Wings. This basically lets you target a face-up monster on the field. It gains 500 attack. Also, the first time that that target would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, it is not destroyed. So this can protect your monsters and let it gain attack. As I said before, all of the trap cards, they banish themselves from the graveyard to summon a monster to your side of the field. So again, with the other card, which is the what is that card called? The trap card, which is Phantom Knight's Sword, that is banished. I can't really scroll over it. I don't know why, but let me see. Yeah, I think it lets me read it. Yeah, here we go. So it says activate this card by targeting one face-up monster on the field. It gains 800 attack. Also, if that target would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can destroy this card instead. So this also protects your monsters and lets your monsters gain 800 attack, but it's a continuous trap card compared to the wings, which is just a normal trap card. And then again, all of the trap cards special summon a Phantom Knights from your graveyard by banishing it from the graveyard. So this is basically your setup. This is how you're going to be comboing. This is basically your full setup. You're going to have the Utopic Future that can negate any trap effect. You have the wings that can protect your monsters on the field. You have the Fog Blade that is going to negate the effects of your opponent's monsters, as well as another one on your field. You have the Droplets, which is in your deck, or any card that you already have in your hand. You can set that card as well. You're gonna have the Phantom Knight Rusty Bardiche, which can pop a card on your opponent's side of the field when you special summon back the what's it called? You're gonna special summon the Break Sword from your graveyard with the trap cards once you get them into the graveyard. So the basic setup is to first use the effect of the Utopic Future Dragon or Draco Future to detach the Break Sword to your from your graveyard to negate an effect, and then you're going to use your trap cards in your graveyard to special summon the Break Sword, the Break Sword from your graveyard onto an arrow that your Rusty Bardiche points to, and then your Rusty Bardiche is going to trigger to pop a card on the field. So I'll showcase that in a bit. So I'm going to show how I interrupted my opponent. So he's playing Fluffles. He activates the Fright for Patchwork. He's going to get the Polymerization and the Scythe from his deck to his hand. And then he's going to activate the Polymerization to summon the Fright for Kraken. I'm not really scared of this card, but he's going to activate his effects. I'm not going to be focusing too much on my opponent's cards. I'm just going to be focusing on the cards that I'm going to be activating. But he's just doing a lot of effects. He's got to activate the Toy Vendor. He's going to use the effect of the wings. He's going to banish those two, and he's going to draw 2 cards, and he's going to send the Toy Vendor. Toy Vendor is going to send the he's going to add the bear from the deck to his hand, and then he's going to normal summon the Fluffle Dog. This basically lets him add a Engip Sabers or a Fluffle card from his deck to his hand. So I'm going to use the effect of Fog Blade to negate it. That is how you're going to use this card. Pretty good. You just want to mainly stop their best cards, which is like their search cards or any card that threatens like to destroy any of your cards. So this is very, very good, very, very powerful. So I'm going to negate that effect with the Fog Blade. And after this, let me see what he does. So he's going to activate the Fright for Factory. I was thinking about maybe using my Utopic Future early so I can get my Break Sword in the graveyard so I can special summon it back to pop a monster. So he's going to summon the Saber Tooth. This card is very, very good. It basically lets him special summon a Fright for monster from his graveyard, which is very powerful, and it can protect itself while it has 3 fusion materials used to summon it. So this is a very, very powerful card. So I'm threatened by this card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Fog Blade it because it's going to be able to special summon a Fright for monster from his deck to his field. From his graveyard to his field, my bad. So I'm going to negate this effect, which is very, very good. And then he's going to activate the Fright for Bear. I don't care about that card because it only sets a Toy Vendor. And he's going to use the effect of the Toy Vendor to basically get another card from his deck to his hand. He's going to activate the Fright for Fusion, which is very, very scary. He's going to summon the Cruel Whale, which is very, very powerful. This is a very, very scary card. So what I'm going to do is activate my wings in my graveyard. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Forbidden Droplets so I can send my Rusty Bardiche from my deck, from my field to my graveyard. Now, there's many different ways I could have played this. I could have activated the Utopic Future to negate the effect, and then use the wings to let my monster gain attack, get this wings into the graveyard, and then I could have special summoned a the Break Sword from the graveyard onto an arrow the Rusty Bardiche points to, so I can pop the Cruel Whale on the field. But I basically wanted to negate the full effect and not have to worry about any of the other effects that it has, because it has multiple effects. So if I negated the effect with the Utopic Future, he would have been able to maybe activate his other effect to send a card from the deck to the graveyard. So I just wanted him to not respond with his other effects, so I can negate both of the effects with the effect of Forbidden Droplets. So don't worry about any of the other cards. I just want to focus on the Phantom Knight cards for this video. So he's gonna try to activate his other effect. It's gonna be negated because I activated Forbidden Droplets to negate his entire effect. And then in the end phase, I'm gonna use the effect of the Rusty or the trap card in the graveyard to special summon the Rusty Bardiche. And then I'm going to use the effect of Torn Scales because I did banish a Phantom Knight card from my graveyard. And then it's gonna be my turn. So I'm gonna basically fast forward through this. I'm gonna activate the effect of that. Use the effect of Silent Boots to special summon itself, to make Break Sword, and see how I special summon the Rusty Bardiche to the zone that, or I summon the Break Sword to the zone that Rusty Bardiche points to, and that's going to trigger the effect to pop the Cruel Well on the field. So that is really good. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Break Sword to pop my Fog Blade and the Sabertooth on the field. So that is very, very powerful. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Fog Blade to summon back a monster onto the field. And then I'm going to use the effect of Torn Scales to special summon itself from the graveyard. And then I'm going to summon the IP Masquerena. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Rusty Bardiche to set the what did you call it? Shade Brigandine. So this is the card that I didn't go over, but basically it's a trap monster that you could summon. It's going to be Warrior Dark, level 4, attack 0, defense 300. This card is not treated as a trap card when it's on the field. If you have no trap cards in your graveyard, you can activate this card the turn it would set. So since I have a trap card in the graveyard, I'm not going to be able to activate the Shade Brigandine. So it's basically just useless, but this is really good for Link material, even though it's level 4 and you cannot make something like a Break Sword that takes 2 level 3 monsters. So I make an IP Masquerena, and then I normal summon the Torn Scales. I'm going to use the effect, or I'm not going to use the effect. I'm going to use those 2 monsters to make the Nightmare Unicorn. And as you see, I have 3,000, I have 2,200, I have 2,000, and I have 2,100 attack monsters on the field, and that is enough to attack for game. So I'm going to go into the battle phase. I'm going to attack with all of these monsters, and I'm going to attack for game. But before that, I want to go over the Nightmare Unicorn. This is really good in combination with your IP Masquerena. So I'll go over both of those cards. So it takes two plus monsters with different names. If this card is Link Summon, you can target, you can discard 1 card, then target 1 card on the field, shuffle it into the deck. Then if this card is co-linked, I'll go over that in a bit. But if this card is co-linked, when this card effect is activated, you can draw 1 card, and then you can only use the effect of all these other cards when return. And then the other effect doesn't really matter. The most important effect is to target or discard 1 card, then target 1 card on the field, and shuffle it back into the deck. You can also shuffle back your own cards, but do not do that. That's not really good. You mainly want to be shuffling back your opponent's cards. So basically, there's a lot of ways to get rid of your opponent's cards. You have the Nightmare Unicorn, you have the Break Sword, you have the Rusty Bardiche to pop a card. So I'm going to go over the IP Masquerena because this is another card you can make over the Draco Future if you cannot make it. But basically, the IP Masquerena, it takes 2 non-link monsters to make it, and during your opponent's main phase, you can quick effect immediately after this effect resolves, Link summon 1 Link monster using materials you control, including this card. So basically what this means is you can basically Link summon on your opponent's turn during the main phase to go into the Nightmare Unicorn to shuffle back any card onto their field into the deck. So that is very, very powerful. The other effect of this card is when you use a Link monster, if you Link summon a monster using this card as material, that card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. So since I use the IP Masquerena to make the Nightmare Unicorn, it's not going to be able to be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. So that is really, really important to remember. So that is it, guys. Let me know what you guys think about the Phantom Knight deck, and if you have any questions, leave it down below in the comment section. I'll be able to answer any questions if you're confused on this, but this is basically your combo. I wonder if it lets me look at the other cards in my extra deck. So Access Code Talker is another card that is very important for going second. It basically lets it gain itself attack in up to the link rank rating of a link monster you use to make this card, and then you could banish link monsters from your graveyard to destroy a card. Apollos is another card you can make with the IP Masquerena. It basically lets you negate a monster effect on the field or in their hand or wherever by letting it lose at 800 attack. Link Spider is just a link 1 that you can get your trap card to the graveyard, which is your Shade Brigadine. Zeus is really good, another card that's very powerful for going second. Downer Magician is another good card to put on top of your Break Sword and other rank 3 monsters, as well as the Obstacle Golem. This is just a 3000 attack card that you can summon just for game, just for damage. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully this was informative enough. Again, if you have any questions, leave it down below in the comment section. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I am out. Peace.